Hello, race drivers. It's Enzo with the Race Driver Coach Show again from the car. Because we're traveling, we're on our way to the Japanese Grand Prix, and I've just parked up at the airport. So I thought, you know what? Probably not going to get a chance to do a video. So let's just do one here on a topic that I know will help you, and I know that many people are struggling with, and that is risk. As a race driver, you would think that you are one of these people that enjoys taking risks, gambles, someone who faces danger on a daily basis and enjoys it. And that's where they live, that's where they operate, that's where they're at their best. And to be honest, if you think about the mental makeup of a race driver, that is true. That is what you should be like. But in reality, the thing I'm finding with most drivers, because they're human, of course, is they're riddled with fear. They don't want to take risks. They want to make sure they've got some kind of definite path in racing. And this is on track and off track. I see this risk area as being one of the main problems for race drivers. On the circuit, whilst they're in the car, you can hear them saying, I could go quicker through that corner, I suppose. Turn one's nearly flat, but I'm not flat. And I could be, because it's a good day, the wind is there, but I'm a bit worried about spinning off. I'm a bit worried about the wall on the outside. What if I make a mistake? Well, talking like that straight away tells your brain that you're not a thoroughbred race driver. A true race driver, and that when I say that, I mean the kind of race driver who can win, who can become the true champion, not just the champion with the most points on the board at the end of the year, the most consistent one. I mean a true champion, the type of driver that is, dare I say it, a bit like a warrior. That kind of person goes out and finds out if it can be taken flat or not, that corner. They're the first person normally to give it a go. And this is where you've got to really be honest with yourself. If you're striving to be the best driver possible and win the championship, but you're worrying and struggling about being as quick as everybody through the risky corners or in the wet, I have to say it, thinking about things the way you are, you're not going to get what you want out of racing. You've got to be the one who's the most riskiest. Okay, it's calculated risk, but you're thinking about things like, when I'm in this car, is it possible for this car to go through there flat? Or how fast can I take this car through this corner? That is the sort of question you should be asking yourself, not just in the car, but in life. Instead of, how do I feel about going through this corner at that speed? What could happen? That's not the thought or the mindset or the thought process of somebody who's going to win in this sport. So I want you to just ask yourself and look at yourself, am I doing these kind of things? And that's just an example, going through a corner that is nearly flat or flat, and you're not getting yourself to do it because you're focusing on what would happen, is going to be the reason why you fail in motorsport, because it won't just be there. You'll have it in normal life as well. When you're thinking about, can I go and talk to that company owner about sponsoring me? If you're the kind of guy or gal who sort of judges whether to go through a corner at high speed or not, and worries about the consequences, you're the kind of person that most likely will do that when you're thinking about approaching that person about sponsorship. You'll think about the what if. What will they think? What if I can't get my words out? They won't be interested in me. It's these kinds of thoughts that pin you to where you are in life. If you want to go forward, it means that you've got to do the kind of things that are risky. So if you're thinking about your future self, that person, that champion that you want to build, just ask yourself, what kind of activities would you put that person through in order to build them to become the person they need to become, the one that you want to be, this champion? You'd put them through hell. You'd make sure they go through that corner flat out or as fast as the car can go, right? You just do it because you know that that person that's in the car, which is you, will learn more from it. Not only that, will they get the benefits from it. You'll know that if I've got to do this speaking gig in front of this company to pitch to them, Or I could just say, oh, it's probably not going to work. They're not going to be interested in me. There's two different ways of going about it. But if you think about your future self again and the person you want to create, would you send them to do it? Hell yeah, you would. You'd make sure they go through so much turmoil. They experience so much failure because you know they're going to learn from the failure. You'd make sure that each and every single day you're pushing them out there and you're making them step into risky situations because you know in 10 years' time that's going to be a good person. They're going to have learned so much more than the person that sits in the bedroom and just dreams about talking to that person, dreams about driving in that certain way. This is my roundabout way of saying in life, if you are serious about achieving the goals that you've got, you know that you've got to build the kind of person that can achieve those goals, which means the daily actions that you take have got to echo or at least help build that person that you want. You've got to put them through hell. Are you doing it? Have you done it in the last week? Did you do it today? Before you listen to this video, as you listen to this video, look back on the day and ask yourself, the actions I've taken and my thought process, are they the kind that would achieve the big goal that I've got in life, the North Star? If not, if you've been resting on your laurels, if you've been backing out of things that are risky constantly, and you know you have, then it's time to face the reality that if you carry on as you're going on now, I promise you will not make it. If you're being soft on yourself, if you're just taking small actions, how do you think that's going to play out? It's barely going to help you tread water in this world of motorsport and the world, in life in general. If you want to succeed, you have to be striving forward, and it's so painful. And you're going to get so many things happen that are going to be embarrassing, but that's what you've got to go through. Can you imagine if you'd done that for the last 10 years, where you'd be now? If your younger self was out there striving and pushing themselves and doing all these ridiculous things, you'd have so many experiences and learnings that you would have right now automatically because of your former self. I think you'd be in a different place. You'd know that if you put yourself out there more and you take more risks. So make sure that from this point forward, that you in 5 years or even 2 years is not regretting the lack of work that you put in now. Make them proud. And just understand that every single time you pick up that phone to pitch to somebody, every time you go and ask them at a coffee shop and it's really inconvenient for them and you, that is one step closer. You're going to learn. It's really painful, I promise, to grow the brain. If you want to improve your mind and improve the way you act, it's painful. Just like going to the gym, if you want to grow the body, you have to push it to the extreme until it's exhausted and it aches the next day. It aches for the next 2 days. You've got to do that mentally. I'm going to talk about this a lot of just how hard you've got to beat the brain up and force it to grow if you want it to grow. Same with your life, because the brain is what's pretty much controlling your life and your outcomes, right? You have to make this as painful as possible and think, right, today, what risk could I take? That no matter what happens, I'm going to learn from it. And make sure you answer that question and you do the activity that you come up with. I promise you, do that 7 days a week, 7 times per week. You're going to grow and you're going to get somewhere, or at least you're going to find out the truth if you've got what it takes.